of ourselves that's excited and looking forward to something and has that childlike fascination and innocence around new experiences it's so rewarding. It really is rewarding. I was so glad that I sat there and played, and then when I did take a little break, it was because I felt like my arm was gonna fall off, and took a little breather outside, and then we played some different instruments, and it was just really, really fun. And like you said, it was hypnotizing, and there was moments where I was like felt like it was like utter chaos. I didn't even know what was happening. Just like, hold on. And then, but it was amazing. And I think that's like the beauty in learning. That was something that really affected me in the book Letting Go of David Hawkins. And he said in that book, are you willing to endure the pain of learning? Mm-hmm. Or are you holding on too much to your pride to be able to even like grow and expand? And that like really, really hit me a while ago. Am I willing to be new?
And that's a great question. That's one of the things I wrote in the notes actually, was that it seems in my experience that as a society, we don't honor being a beginner.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you're a beginner, then you're just, it's a hierarchy. We even put it even like in the endurance athletic world, you know, you're beginner, you're novice, you're the intermediate, you're advanced, you're professional, right? And we create these really kind of intimidating situations where, oh, he's just a beginner. She's just a beginner. But god damn, isn't that the exciting part?
It is exciting.
Isn't that the part
that
is like, you know, I'm going out there and I'm putting myself out there and I am terrified, but this is exhilarating. This is fun. And this is, you know, you're getting new synapses in your brain, and just these amazing things are happening at every level, at an emotional level, at a physical, neurological, muscular level. You're having to like, it's like everybody's on deck. You know, like every cell, every tissue, every neuron.
Yeah,
that's in my definition, that's being alive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, having fresh experience.
And yet, for some reason, I think there is a large majority, again, from my experience, of our society that doesn't really honor being a beginner. Mm-hmm. That we've kind of told ourselves, like, I'm maybe too old to do this, or
or I can't learn this because I'm this old. Yeah.
And I think that really that's just judgment, like you said. There's no truth to that, you know? And so that's one of the things I always find myself asking myself is that true? Mm. You know? Is that true? Like when those judgments start weighing me down and bombarding me, is it true?
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you like to separate and become the observer of your judgment as opposed to strictly being the participant. And I think that might be the only way to work through the judgment, is to allow yourself to first create space and honor and say, I get it. I understand why you're scared. Mm-hmm. I get it. I understand these people are amazing Imbira players, you know? All these other people in the pool, they just flip turn without even a thought. All these other people are doing whatever that thing is that you would like to do, that you would like to master or be a part of. And honoring that and saying it makes sense that you're nervous or you're afraid but we got to learn. So I acknowledge your fear, but now I'm going to hold your hand and let's go do this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing that helps me too is recognizing why I really would like to learn something. Mm. You know, am I doing this so that I can show off to this group of people? Wow. Or am I doing this because I really want to be able to have fun? And I really want to be able to play this way. And I really want to have this experience for myself. And I think sometimes we can get caught up in even the performance side of things, which is performing is not bad, but we can maybe have different intentions that aren't as grounded in who we are when it comes to wanting to learn something else. Are we doing it because we have a genuine desire and interest and fascination, and it's exciting us and it's igniting new passion within ourselves? Or are we doing it because we want to show off or to prove to somebody else, which is ultimately trying to prove to yourself something about yourself? What is the intention behind the learning? I think that makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. Because you're much less likely, I guess, to be crushed by any judgment or criticism that does come your way if you have a pure intention around what you're doing. I think having the heart of a student and being willing to learn, we can welcome more constructive criticism or instruction, whereas when we're proud or we're proving something, then even like healthy and beneficial instruction can be taken as judgment and criticism. And then instead of receiving that and growing, you block it and say F you, when it was like they offered a perfect opportunity for you to learn and grow and expand.
Yeah, and for me, the words that come to my mind are accept the coaching.
Yeah.
Right? Accept it. Don't resist it. For someone who's been very resistant to a lot of various other people coming into my life and trying to help me, and show me some of my ways that I could do things, a little bit more optimally here or there, and being really resistant and having to learn the hard way, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate what you're saying, because that's an excellent point. So thank you for sharing that. Outside of learning, there's other ways we judge ourselves. And my experience of myself and with a lot of clients I work with is I see that a lot of people tend to judge themselves around pleasure. And the things that they, drumming brings you a lot of pleasure. Yeah. Right? I've watched it. I've experienced almost this new energy around who Julie is once Julie started drumming and getting back into the musical side of Julie. And I just see the pleasure that's in it. And I think sometimes we find that, I really like doing this thing, whatever that is, be it drumming or swimming or, sniffing candy canes, right? Whatever, I don't know, people like to do. We all
dancing in your house or whatever it is. Yeah.
Singing in the shower or, wearing, one day Jules and I were driving down the street maybe a year ago, and we saw a female, and I'm pretty sure she was a special needs. I think she probably had a learning disability of some sort, and she was wearing, it seemed to be every piece of her favorite clothing.
That's what it looked like.
Right,
yeah.
Right. It didn't match, but damn it, she was happy. She
did seem very, very happy.
Right, and there was something about that. When I saw that, I thought, I want to be that confident. Mm-hmm. I want to be so confident that I can go home and put on the 5 or 6 pieces of clothing that are my favorite and not give a damn if they match, or if it's the right temperature, or if people are going to laugh at me. And I thought, what a beautiful lesson that this individual was able to give me as I passed by her, driving past her on the corner.
Yeah.
And just to see this energy radiating out of her, and you could just see that here was someone who wasn't afraid and didn't put filters on her pleasure, didn't judge herself for for allowing herself to have pleasure. Even sometimes, some of the people that we know or we're friends with, we know people that are extremely talented at various things, be it music or art. We know multiple photographers and painters and musicians. And my experience of them is sometimes they say, well, this is my pleasure. I'm not supposed to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, this feels too good for me to make money because it
feels too good,
yeah.
right? I'm going to go get a job and just do this for free.
Yeah.
Right? Because it feels too good. Right? People aren't supposed to make money. That's not work. Think about all the things that go into work.
Yeah.
Right? So going back in the idea of judging myself around pleasure, I think it's really interesting that, you know, these things that we do that bring us pleasure, but we're afraid to like share them.
Yeah.
We're afraid to expose those aspects, you know, of ourselves, be it a physical thing, a creative outlet, a sexual preference that we have, whatever it is that brings us pleasure. It seems that we've kind of been sort of conditioned to not allow it. You know, I'll get pleasure in the afterlife, but here there can be no pleasure.
Right. Otherwise, I won't get any pleasure in the afterlife.
Right. And so we put these judgments
yeah.
on ourselves, and sometimes, you know, it's that idea of like, there's some more. And see if I can put this into words. It's almost like we find more comfort in the struggle than we do in the pleasure. So anytime we're in that pleasure state, we judge it.
Yeah.
I judge the shit. I had a perfect week. You know, I got 4 new clients. Things just showed up. You know, I won something. We had, you know, beautiful meals every single day. And then this little voice creeps in and goes, wait, you're too happy. And I start judging it. Right? I start judging it.
Yeah.
Right?
Or you say, oh, I've had a really busy week.
Right.
Instead of like, oh, I've had a great week.
Right. It wasn't busy at all. It was actually pretty damn fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did a lot of stuff and I drove my car here and there and everywhere, but I enjoyed the shit out of it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed sitting in traffic and having this awesome car that allows me to listen to Audible and podcast, and I enjoyed going to the farmers. You know, it's not it's that whole perspective, I think, that we change that perspective and we start judging. You know, we get really, really judgmental, and I find that to be really fascinating. Our judgments around what we deem as appropriate pleasure or non-appropriate pleasure.
And then how our rejection of pleasure can actually distort a lot of different aspects of ourselves and create things like addiction and dependency, and really creates a foundation for fear rather than love within ourselves and our experience. And I think that like Michael Pollan, his quote about what the French associated with chocolate cake and what Americans associated with chocolate cake, and that was the French associated chocolate cake with celebration, party, birthday, you know, and then the majority of Americans associated chocolate cake with guilt.
Obesity. And if I eat, it's going to make me fat. It's going to give me cavities. It's going to make me sick and make my skin break out.
But then it's that same mentality that creates that individual sitting in the closet, you know, downing an entire chocolate cake, hating themselves while they do it.
That's an interesting thing. And one of the words you said a few sentences ago was you brought up addiction. You know, I recently had a conversation with someone that said, and we were going through a coaching situation, and I will keep it as vague as possible. But the individual, it basically came out to, what if I like it? Then what if I like it so much I become addicted? And my response was, people who are addicted don't like themselves. It's not that they like what they're doing. It's that they don't like themselves, so they're using this other thing to escape themselves. Addiction isn't about pleasure. Because if you've ever been around someone who's a heroin addict or a pharmaceutical drug addict or an alcoholic, there's no pleasure in that.
It's harmful.
Right? That is the most self-dislike and hate and disgruntlement for your experience possible. That's not about pleasure. And I think sometimes this idea of, well, if I like